Welcome to another edition of Green is Good. This is the ISRI edition of Green is Good, and we're in beautiful downtown Vancouver, British Columbia at the Vancouver Convention Center. And we are honored to have with us today Rick Doyle. Rick, you are the CEO of the Synthetic Turf Council?
That's correct.
And it's an honor to have you on today. For our listeners and our viewers out there that have never heard you before or seen you before, share first, before we get talking about the Synthetic Turf Council, share the Rick Doyle journey leading up to becoming the CEO of the Synthetic Turf Council.
Happy to do it. I and my wife moved to Atlanta in 2006.
Okay.
And I had run a large industry trade association prior to that from our home in Philadelphia. But our daughters moved to Clemson and University of Georgia.
Nice.
So we followed them down, and I wanted to stay in the industry.
Good dad.
Reached out, and Synthetic Turf Council asked me to become their first CEO.
Great. And for our listeners out there and viewers, to learn more about Rick's organization, you could go to syntheticturfcouncil.org, syntheticturfcouncil.org. What is the Synthetic Turf Council?
We were founded at the end of 2003 to be the voice of the industry and to advocate, to market, and to educate our members in North America. Since then, we've grown to become an international organization. We still represent just the North American market, but we have members from Europe, from Mexico, and from Canada.
You know, Rick, when we were growing up, it became a big deal when football stadiums, baseball stadiums got what was then called, artificial turf. Is synthetic turf and artificial turf the same thing, or am I mixing and matching words the wrong way?
It's evolved significantly over the years.
Okay.
From what you're talking about.
Right.
Today, there is an infield iteration of synthetic turf. So between the grass blades,
yes,
there is an infill. Typically, it's crumb rubber, recycled tires, car and truck tires.
Right.
And it provides resilience, durability, and it helps protect the grass blades.
Gotcha. So it's evolved tremendously, and that's why it's now the term of art is synthetic turf. No longer is the old terms used anymore.
Well, I mean, some of the terms are still brands that are being sold today.
I gotcha. How large is this industry?
We estimate it's about $1 billion industry here in North America.
$1 billion a year?
$1 billion a year, yes.
Gotcha. And what is the fastest growing segment of the Synthetic Turf Council industry?
There are many applications, but the fastest growing, I believe, is still the landscape and recreation market. Huh. The reason is because it saves water, eliminates the use of pesticides, fertilizers, and requires very little maintenance.
So, as the water drought continues in California and many other parts, it's really a great driver of your industry, because more people should just take out their lawns, get rid of all this, wasteful watering really, and put in synthetic turf, which is still very aesthetically pretty, but takes a lot less effort.
Well, it's one of the hardscapes, and I'm using a term, that California wants its residents to replace grass with. And there are a number of water districts or counties that are providing financial incentives to residents to do just that.
You're speaking tomorrow here at the ISRI annual convention. What are you speaking about tomorrow specifically here?
I'm speaking about synthetic turf and the use of recycled materials in the industry.
So the direct relationship between synthetic turf and the recycling industry is a very close nexus.
Our industry uses 30 million recycled tires, auto and truck tires. I'll start again.
Right.
Our industry uses 30 million recycled auto and truck tires every year out of the 300 million tires that are retired every year.
So 10%
Right,
is being recycled through your industry.
correct.
How much is that growing every year? Is that growing by what percentage approximately?
10 to 15% conservatively.
Wow. So that's a great reuse of the rubber. Instead of throwing that into landfills or burning it or ending up in oceans or rivers, the fact that it's going back into your products is great for the environment, great for the world at large.
Well, eventually something has to be done with the crumb rubber and the synthetic turf when it reaches the end of its useful life.
Okay.
So that's one of the challenges.
Okay.
Because it's costly to develop alternatives for recycling. So a lot of the turf is reused rather than recycled right now because it's not economically feasible for the owners to recycle. They would much rather spend less money and send the material, if it hasn't been reused, to the landfill, which is a shame. And
Right.
something our industry is working hard to solve.
What are the professional applications? Are many football, baseball, and other sports facilities using your products more than ever now that there's a rubber component that also protects these multi-million-dollar players?
On the sports field side,
Yeah,
since synthetic turf can be used 24/7,
right.
which isn't possible with a grass field,
Yeah,
it's a great option. So a lot of colleges and schools are switching to synthetic turf. About 13 NFL stadiums are synthetic. All their each team has a practice field that's synthetic turf. On the landscape and recreation side, I've mentioned the benefits, but as a result, it provides an accessible surface for playgrounds. So kids who've never been able to navigate a grass playground or some other kind of playground have this opportunity because of synthetic turf. And
Wow.
rooftops and even landfills are now being closed with synthetic turf
over them.
over them.
Wow. So what's the science show in terms of if you or I were football owners and we were at the annual NFL meeting and we were doing a comparison of our stadiums? I have natural grass in mine, you have synthetic turf in yours, maybe one of our colleagues has some other type of field in his. Which is the safest? Who has the least amount of injuries? What does the science and the numbers show?
It's been carefully studied by the World Organization for Soccer, FIFA,
Yeah.
and they've determined that there is no difference in terms of injury rates.
No kidding.
So, but I sit on an NFL committee, the purpose of which is to make sure that every synthetic turf field and every grass field plays similarly.
So it evens the playing field, so they all play similarly in terms of speed and efficiency and playability.
Let me just restate. So the NFL wants all the synthetic turf fields to play the same,
Okay.
and they want all the grass fields to play the same.
That makes sense. Okay. Are there any other fields that are possible besides those two?
No.
So those are the two it's either your state of the art or it's grass. There's nothing in between.
Actually, there's a hybrid,
Okay.
which is grass and synthetic. And that surface is used in very cold climates where it's impossible to grow grass
Okay.
during the football season.
Okay. And how does that work? Is that working well? Is that
Yeah,
the hybrid
it's
works
working.
well?
Yeah,
It works fine.
yeah.
What are some of the new technologies that are cutting edge that you could speak to our audience about in your industry that you're excited about, that you go out and advocate and evangelize about, that's what you do as the CEO of the Synthetic Turf Council?
One of the big advantages or innovations that has been introduced recently
Yeah.
significantly cools the synthetic turfs. Synthetic turfs made out of plastic,
Right.
so in direct sunlight it gets very hot. So you need to manage the play of your players just as you would if they were playing on grass. And they've been able to introduce a new technology that brings the temperature down, so it's very playable.
Gotcha, gotcha. And what are some of the marketing and educational programs that your council works on a regular basis? And do you have an annual conference?
We have 2 conferences a year. We don't, they're basically educational conferences. We host webinars that educate buyers and end users on quality and performance and maintenance of their synthetic turf sports fields. We have on-site educational sessions for buyers and end users. And our website's full of technical guidance that is all free to those who come to our website.
Gotcha. And speaking of website, Rick Doyle's website as the CEO of the Synthetic Turf Council is www.syntheticturfcouncil.org. I'm John Shigerian, and I've got Rick Doyle with me. He's the CEO, I said, of the Synthetic Turf Council, and we're here at the ISRI edition of Green is Good in beautiful downtown Vancouver, British Columbia. What is, in terms of the council, how many member companies do you have?
We're in our 12th year. We currently have about 220 members.
And what are the benefits of being a member?
Well, let me just explain first. Our members come from all segments of the industry.
Okay.
So not just installers, not just manufacturers, but also architects and engineers, testing labs, maintenance companies.
Everybody in the value stream.
Everyone. Yes.
Gotcha.
Yes. And the benefits are, I mean, what most people join an organization for is
Right.
the networking, the opportunity to meet the leaders in the industry, and to share in some education that they would get nowhere else.
Gotcha. And you see that, is that a growing industry in terms of your memberships growing every year and more companies are cropping up every year to produce these products?
There is a certain amount of consolidation in any industry,
Yep.
and our industry is the same. But yes, our industry, our council is a reflection of the industry. And
Gotcha.
so as the industry grows, so does the council.
Talk a little bit about ROI. If I was looking to either put this in my backyard, synthetic turf, to save water in my house in California, or if I was the owner of a sports team, is there a good ROI for putting this in and saving the water and maintenance costs, or is it the same as regular grass?
Well, no, it depends on what
Application?
Well, it depends on, there are many different qualities of synthetic turf.
I gotcha.
So depending on which you choose, depending on what sort of base work needs to be done,
Gotcha.
the return could be 4, 5 years, depends on the cost of water in your particular area.
I gotcha. So the ROI really is tied to the 2 factors of cost of water versus the application you choose to put in for the specific use.
I spend at home $400 a month on water in the summertime.
Wow.
So that's significant.
So if I put one in my backyard and I just pick a medium grade, how long can I expect it to last? What's the durability like?
Well, the durability of a landscape synthetic grass is significant because you're not using it like you would a sports field. So it could last, sports fields are warranted for 8 to 10 years.
Wow.
So,
and they get a lot of wear and tear.
Landscape grass could last 20 or more years.
What final thoughts do you have for our audience about making the switch? If they're thinking about it or they're looking at lots of options, what can you share with them, do's and don'ts, about assessing synthetic turf and maybe using it as an option at their school, if they're making decisions at some university or at some high school level or a professional team, or for just the general homeowners across the United States and around the world?
I would first come to our website.
Okay.
Because it's full of information, including guidance on how to select, buy, and maintain synthetic turf in all its many applications.
Okay.
But perhaps the most important thing is to consult references, to talk to those people who have synthetic turf on their field or in their, at their home. Go look at it. Go make sure that what you're buying is from a quality company, perhaps a company that is Synthetic Turf Council certified, and those are identified on our website. But there, as in every industry, there are many different types, many different qualities, and you want to make sure that what you're expecting meets your expectations.
So you got to do your homework first.
Do your homework.
But a great place to do the homework is at www.syntheticturfcouncil.org. Rick Doyle, it's been an honor having you on today.
Thank you, John.
You know, I really appreciate you taking the time. I know you're very busy here at the ISRI convention, and you're going to be speaking tomorrow, obviously. Your industry is so tied. You've educated us and you've inspired us that you're so tied to the recycling industry, especially with keeping the tires out of the landfills, 30 million plus tires, that it's such a great thing to have you here because you're making the world a better place. And that's why we do this show. Thank you for your time today. Thank you for your time today for watching Rick Doyle and myself here on Green is Good. We are looking forward to having you back for our next episode. Thanks again and have a great day.